The most dangerous place you can be as a trial lawyer is to think you've got it figured out.
I'm still trying to get better. I still have the passion for it. I believe in it.
Everyone can learn to do what I do.
And yet there's a group here that continues to get extraordinary verdicts.
Trial Lawyers University is revolutionizing, educating lawyers to be better trial lawyers. It's been invaluable to me.
Trial Lawyers University, where the Titans come to train. Produced and powered by LawPods.
All right, we got Robyn Wishart. Did I say that right?
You did.
Oh, thank God.
It's a compound word, Wishart.
Wishart. Oh, thank you. So
That's helpful, right?
You're coming all the way from Vancouver, British Columbia. Did I get that right?
Absolutely.
All right, and you're a trial lawyer.
I am a trial lawyer.
A Canadian trial lawyer. I mean, who's ever heard of that? That's like saying I don't even know. That's like saying a Democratic Socialist.
Pretty
That's
much.
like, it's hard to say. But anyways, but a Canadian trial lawyer who is, if I'm not mistaken, the only Canadian trial lawyer that's ever taught at the AAJ.
Absolutely.
And you came down to Hermosa Beach with our good friend Felipe Miller.
Absolutely. Where the action is happening here at Hermosa Beach.
Where the action is actually in Hermosa Beach, because we have put together the Philip Miller Advanced Depot College that's coming soon to a Paseo hotel near you in Huntington Beach next year.
Absolutely.
But we're getting ready for it this year at the Paseo at TLU Beach. But before we get to that, let's first talk about you. And so you have a very unique story growing up in a place that's even colder and darker and probably boring than Michigan, because you said Winnipeg. You said, what's Winnipeg like? You're like, think Michigan, but worse. Even colder.
We
even
vacation in Michigan.
We vacation in Michigan. Michigan is
It's a dream vacation for a Winnipeg kid.
You go. What's Winnipeg like?
Winnipeg is like, imagine Alaska, but darker.
I was just in Alaska last year. In fact, I think we're going to do like an annual pilgrimage to Alaska in January because it's dark and below zero. So only a certain kind of trial lawyer from the lower 48 will go to Alaska. So whoever they are, I like to hang out with them. I'm like, you people got adventure. You're my kind of people. So
Winnipeg's license plate says friendly Manitoba, and I'm convinced it's because all the mean people are dead from waiting outside in the cold.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But you managed to get yourself out of Winnipeg. How'd you manage to do that?
Volleyball. I love volleyball. I love the game. I love all the aspects of competition. And so I worked my way out of Winnipeg by going to university in British Columbia and playing indoor sixes that eventually led to playing pro beach.
Wow. So you played indoor sixes in college. And so you played for how many years in college?
5
years of college. And then also some pro beach. Tell us about that. Because we got the pro beach tour right outside here. Right outside every day. We got the pro beach tour. So I thought this would feel like home for you.
It does. Right outside the door. I mean, that was what it was all about when I was, just before I went to law school. You got to take those moments when they come. Life's all about taking opportunities. And I took that opportunity to play pro beach with my partner, Isabella Rudall, who's still pretty much a beach bum. Doesn't look good when you're 40 in a bikini, so I decided I would go to law school. But yeah, hustling down at the beach, playing guys, beating them for money, lots of fun.
All right. So yeah, I guess, and look, you joined another kind of men's kind of world, this trial lawyer thing, and now you're a little girl beating up the boys again, huh?
Little bit.
Except in the courtroom with a little different, with a little verbal lashing and rhetorical and neuroscience game plan against them instead of just physical prowess and strength. Got it. So how many years did you play pro for?
3 years, 4 years, kind of less competitively for the last year as I sort of transitioned to law, but 3 hard years on the beach and just loved every minute of it.
And then what was the inspiration to go to law school since you were having such a great time playing volleyball?
It was tough to leave, but honestly, I've always wanted to be a lawyer. From when I was 4 years old, I wanted to practice law. I don't know why I wanted to practice law. I just loved the idea of being in a courtroom. And I think if you're born into it that way, you just, it's not work. If what you're doing is your passion, you're not working. And it helps for the long hours, it helps for the wins, it helps for the losses. So now I want to transition.
Can I get an amen?
Yeah,
amen.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Amen, hallelujah.
If you love it, it ain't work.
That's it.
It's so great to be able to find something you love. Most people don't. Most people have to work their whole lives, and it's unfortunate. But for those of us that can find the thing that makes us happy and we can be passionate about it, and we can put 12 hours a day in, and it feels like 2.
Yeah.
Those are the good moments. So you always wanted to be a lawyer, but you have a very unusual law school career, like most unusual of anybody I've talked to. So tell us about it.
It was an evolution. When we're doing summarizing, exhausting, and boxing and at the advanced depos, I like to say to people, ask me about what universities I went to. Try summarizing and exhausting that. I didn't get kicked out of most of them, but I've been to 5, and my transition was from Wales. My parents are British and Irish, and so I wanted to go to law school in the UK and never come back. And I did a year there, and of course, you meet your one and only. And
Met a boy, just as
boy.
cute as can be.
That's it.
All right.
Came back to Canada, and the rest was history. So.
Not really, because then you went to 4 different law schools in Canada.
That's right. I went to the University of Alberta, the University of British Columbia, the University of Victoria, and I've been to the University of Winnipeg. So all of those pulled together. It's actually amazing when you go to different universities, they have different philosophies, and they practice and teach the practice of law differently. You think you go to university, you read a book, and you get a university education. But each of these universities have different philosophies, and you bring all of those different experiences with you when you're practicing law, but how you can tell a story. Black letter law, not black letter law. Some law schools, they teach you trial skills. Some law schools teach you trial work. Having the experience, the diversification of learning from all these different schools gives me an opportunity to think differently.
And you not only have a law degree, but you studied something else besides that.
Neuroscience is a huge passion, and anyone who's sort of seen me speak before understand how much I think neuroscience and being able to control our emotions and our brain can lead us on a path that can move our clients into forgetting that they're in a courtroom and being able to deliver the story. And I know in a lot of what you do, Dan, and a lot of what you teach is trying to bring that exactly to the forefront. And in that way, we're a lot aligned in that, we have to get out of the way of the witness, and the witness has to be able to bring us to where they're at. And the skills that you share are not that dissimilar from the skills that I'm sharing in that regard.
That's because like I would say, you can't transport another until you can transport yourself. And your client can't transport the jury to experience the story unless they know how to transport. Most don't, because they're repressing everything. And if you don't think, if you repress it, it's going to be the flat, boring narrative. So how long did you spend studying neuroscience?
4 years. Between the University of Winnipeg, the University of British Columbia, that was a primary focus of the work that I did. And then I worked with Cal Botterill in a sports psychology class, who worked with a lot of professional athletes. And in that, there were all of these skills that we can learn as athletes that transition into what we do as lawyers: parking distractions, visualization. If you're
discipline of training,
the discipline of thought, the discipline of mind. If I visualize myself losing, I lose. If I visualize myself winning, I win. And seeing that in your mind's eye translates. Some people think manifestation. I think more visualization. Visualization puts me in that place. I can get the reps in a courtroom without even being there. Just like I could get the reps as a volleyball player without actually risking injury to my body. But it starts with controlling your thought processes. It starts trusting that your visual mind can bring you as far along as the physical act. So visualization and putting yourself into a relaxed state can drive your practice forward in ways that you just can't even believe until you start working on it. And you talk a lot about skill. And I couldn't be more aligned with what you say about skill and practice skill.
And skill development in the context of a trial lawyering, which I think is, what my boot camps, but also in a lesser extent, the workshops of TLU Beach. Because you go to a lot of conferences, I go to a lot of conferences, and every conference I go to, it's always lecture, lecture, lecture. And when I went to the trial lawyers college, there was on your feet stuff, but my disconnect with that was it was like there was no set way to do anything. It was like whatever is comfortable for you, just do that, just be yourself. And I'm like, I see these people get up and they're like, and I'm like, our natural selves without any training is a very insecure, shaky, bumbling mess. Yeah. I don't care who you are. Everybody's like that. And people get up and they're like, they think, when they're nervous and they're quaking and it's awkward and they think, oh, I'm all alone like this. I'm like, no, that's everybody, okay? Yeah. The only people that aren't like that are the people that train themselves out of it. There's the only people that aren't like that. Some people may have a little further, like you being a professional athlete and a college athlete, you definitely got a head start in this whole performance thing because in some way, even though you might be a bit not the world's most social and outgoing person, but you are to the extent that you do like a crowd. You do like to perform in front of a group because if you didn't, you couldn't really be a college athlete if you're like, oh, don't give me a crowd, right?
Absolutely.
And
right.
so you can be, but that's the fascinating thing is that you can be some of a, not every trial lawyer is the most outgoing person. So you could be maybe not as social a person, except you step in that courtroom, it's like, this is my dojo.
This is where I'm meant to be.
Welcome to my house.
Absolutely.
Right? You want to come to my house? You got a fucking problem. I mean, if you're on the other side.
That's it.
If you're with me, you're in good shape. You got a good ally on your side.
TLU Beach is happening right here at the Paseo Hotel, June 3rd through 6th, Huntington Beach, California. But it all starts out on June 2nd because we're taking over the La Rhea restaurant and the entire pool area. And we're having a dinner party hosted by our friends at Finch. At TLU, we not only have the greatest education, because we got 5 lecture tracks with the top trial lawyers of the country and 8 workshop tracks for smaller group, interactive, on-your-feet training. But on top of all that, we got networking, we got friend making, because we got golf, we got pickleball, we got go-kart racing, we got surf camp, we got all that stuff going on. And on top of that, we're gonna feed you the entire time. We provide a full breakfast for everybody, full lunch, dinner parties, food trucks, because we're having themed parties every night. Thursday night, 80s tracksuit party hosted by Supio. Friday night, the Wild West Satch Oliver party hosted by our friends at Eve. And we're gonna, Satch is bringing 500 pounds of Angus beef. We're gonna have a mechanical bull. And then Saturday night, the Après Ski Adult Swim pool party happening right here. So come for the education, stay for the food, and make lots of new friends and change your life at TLU Beach. We'll see you here.
Sports and trial. So visualization, training, what else in sports has really informed your mediocre rise to the top of the Canadian trial world?
My mediocre rise
to the top of the Canadian trial. I had to qualify it with Canadian.
It's I'll tell you, it's about knowing how to win and knowing how to lose.
Say more about that.
Knowing how to win is you win and you keep working. You don't win and stop. You got to always be evolving. You always got to be learning. That's why you go to trial colleges and you practice trial skills, even when you've been practicing for over 27 years. You have to keep the practice going. You're only as good as the work that you're putting into it. And you have to be ready to lose. Volleyball isn't always about winning every point. You have to be able to keep your mind stable about that. If I put the work in, the results will come. And you might show up to a workshop and be totally brutal, like Philip Miller and Paul Scopter, who are the reasons why I joined AAJ and the reasons why I've had success in what I'm doing. I've learned so much from Philip Miller, and it's an honor anytime I get the opportunity to learn from him and work with him. And when I started, I couldn't do the skills that Philip and Paul were teaching. I couldn't do them. I was so into myself that I struggled with even just listening to their verbal direction. But exposure.
I come across a few lawyers just
right?
like you. A little bit of success, they think they know everything. I watch them present, I'm like,
you have more to learn.
There's so much to learn. If you got to where you're at with this skill set, man, you fucking learn how to present. Fucking hey, look out, Mark Lanier, because you're going to be really fucking dangerous. But most people, as soon as they have a little success, they start reading their own headlines. They just think they're just the cat's meow, that they float on water. And then until they get knocked down, I had this, it's like the downside of success is you start to think you know stuff. You stop working as hard as you are. You start getting kicked in the teeth. And then it's like everything, you're like, oh my God, I ain't shit. You know what I mean? It's like these these trail because you just don't know how to win. You know, the people that win and sit there and study and read their transcripts and take this, okay, this is a great time to learn what I won because now I can really have an open mind to learning and be totally open to being critiqued about what I did because I still won. And that's like I really enjoy doing that kind of coaching, and especially when things are like a courtroom network, like it shows somebody themselves and all the mistakes of presentation and connection they're making, yet they're open to listening because they had a good result. Whereas if they had a shitty result, then they're like, it's a lot harder to listen, even though they need it more. They feel they need it more because it hurts so much to see it and to rethink of what they did and think, God, how might they get that so much better before they went up there with somebody's future, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars of their own money on the line, and because,
there's a lot at stake.
A lot at stake. That's what my friend that does a lot on performance, he's like, the only time that you can be totally relaxed when they're under pressure is if you don't give a damn about the outcome. Right? But if you have a client that you care about, if you have money on the line, that's going to cause pressure. And that pressure is going to cause weird, the nerves and all the things that go on with us human beings.
And if you're not focused on what you're there to do and you're worried about the extrinsic things that are coming at you, you're losing a step to where you need to be in a courtroom. And that's the mind control part of sport and how law and sport come together. Is because I need to be focused on the moment, being in the moment of what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish, listening to the opportunities that the witnesses are giving to us. And they're always going to be there, and how do we capitalize on them? And you have to get bad at something before you can get good at something. So if you show up to a workshop, you sign up to a workshop at the TLU Beach, and it didn't go the way you thought you were going to be the one that Dan says, like, you are the best. Why did you even come here? You
need to be teaching this stuff.
What? Come on, right? That's when we go to a workshop, that's what we think is going to happen, and then we get there and we're like, oh, I'm really bad at this.
Yeah.
But that's your opportunity for growth. The minute that you realize that you're bad at something, you're going to the next level. So you have to take that opportunity. And in an environment with 5 people in a group where you now not just are learning a new skill, but you're making 5 new friends like you've gone to war together.
Oh.
Right?
No, it's great.
When you go to war with someone, you never forget them.
No, because in our workshops now, because we got one coming up just next week on witness prep and direct. But after that, like a pretty, in-depth one, which hopefully you'll make it to. Hopefully your trial will get resolved. It'll free you up to come down here for the in-depth super training of TLU.
Absolutely.
But our friend Philip's done it twice, but that was a while ago. I wasn't as good a teacher then. I was not a good enough teacher for Philip. I have honed my skills though, Felipe. I think I can do it now, but I just wasn't good enough. And that's a cool thing about teaching those, honestly, is like, if you're focused and you care and you're committed, I get better every class I teach, and I figure out stuff I haven't seen before. And it always like almost surprises me in a really exciting way, like the epiphanies I have every time. Like even this piece of cross that I showed you, doctor, like knowing that, like having my hand come up here and like making eye contact with you and just pausing, and like the connection that gets, how it gets you to lock in, and then the movements and the pacing and all of that stuff are all evolutions of my criminal defense cross of, deputy, you're a professional police officer. To become a professional police officer requires highly specialized training. This training, it takes place both during the academy and after you get out. So, it's like these crosses are all so similar. The setups, they want you to understand the pattern of what you're doing. It's so much easier to learn, right? Because it's like, the learning, you have to really get this much more information to be able to do a whole new sort of skill, because you're just building upon the skill you previously developed. And so
there's a science interconnection there. Like when you are using your hands and when you're using your voice, the brain's making anticipatory ideas about where the movement is going to go. So I can't help but to pay attention to it, because in that forward movement and in the sound of your voice, you're moving me, pushing my brain forward. So rather than me going into my brain, internal, narrow, you're bringing me external, narrow, which is I'm looking outside of myself and I'm focusing on you. And we know there are 4 dimensions of attention, and we know we can move between them. And if you can direct someone externally narrow and they're paying attention to you, then they're going to remember what you've said. But if you've got your hands all over the place and your voice all over the place,
and your eyes all over the place,
then they're externally broad, and it's like feeding pigeons. You throw food up in the air, the pigeons will come in and eat wherever the food is. If you want a pigeon to follow you, you have to drop a breadcrumb at a time. So when you're moving your hands, when your cadence of voice is doing what you're teaching, what you're really experiencing as the listener is a narrowed focus to you. And that's what it doesn't matter what we see in a courtroom if no one's listening or nobody understands. The only person who's getting off on that is you, right? But it's not serving the end goal. It's the most selfish thing in the world to be a good trial lawyer, because what you're delivering is not what you want to say, but what they need to know, what they need to hear. And how do you control that? In the mess of all the facts. I don't think you can do it alone. Like, the one thing that I learned that I think a lot of people in Canada haven't caught on to yet, and I think they will, is that it's not a weakness or a failing to need to pick up the phone and call Philip Miller or call Dan or call Eddie and say, what do I do with this? It's a tribe mentality or a pack mentality that makes, little animals survive. We're little animals in this. We're little animals in this, and we need to come together as a group. And in the absence of that, you're easy prey, right? You're outside of the group, then you're at risk. You're inside of the group, you're surrounded by the strength of everyone. And so that's a skill you have to work on. It's not an easy skill for me. Anyone who knows me knows I hate speaking. I'm nervous when I speak, but I need to show up and I need to do it because I have something to say, and you have something to say, and Philip Miller has something to say, and Joey Cameloringo has something to say. We all have something to say.
Not Eddie C.
Eddie C. Eddie C, I swear to God, is fearless. When we did rhetorical questions because it was like a bump against David Ball's rules of the road. Everyone was bringing motions in limine. They were knocking them out. You can't say rule. It became part of the defense to like make you have to fight through that. So rhetorical questions was, well, how will they object to a question? And we're like, Eddie, can you find out how they could object to a question? So Paul, Philip, and myself, here, try this, Eddie, strapped him to a rocket ship and put him through the space. But Eddie will do anything. And that's why he's successful.
And that's why he's coming to TLU, and he gets the privilege of teaching alongside you and Philip Miller and Satch Oliver and Joe Freed and Jay Vaughn and Maxie Shear and did I miss any? And Carl Solomon and whoever else, Philip Miller. I can't remember. Everybody says is teaching at the Deposition.
He's got his dream team together.
That's nice. That's the nice thing about, here at TLU, we don't have a lot of rules. Rule is do something fucking awesome and share it. But the rest of that is about the only rule we got. Yeah. And try to have some fun while we're doing it because life is short. And do it in a really nice place too, like Huntington Beach, California. Is a really nice place. Right, wait till you see it.
You could do some yoga on the beach. You could go surfing.
Look at you. Haven't even been yet.
I've been following.
Well, you guys, and surfing with Eddie.
Surfing with Eddie.
He's already got 25 people.
Does Eddie surf? He's from Pennsylvania. I don't know. I think you're going to be
but he's trying.
You're going to be shark bait
Joe
out there.
C does, though, from Florida. Joey C. But Eddie's already got 25 people signed up. And I think 25 nutbags that are going to go jump in the Pacific.
They're going to have the best time.
No, the Pacific Ocean's cold, though, but they all got wetsuits on.
Imagine the connections you're going to make.
Oh, no, right.
That's fighting for your life in the waves with Eddie
That's why I love doing this Alaska trip in like January, because it's like literally only 4 hours of light, and it's like it was 10 below zero the whole time I was there, and just like 15 Alaskans. But I'm like, but a few people came up, like Dina Buchanan, this guy Court Stamper, and a couple other folks came up there. And from the lower 48, but I was like, you're my people. Anybody that comes up here into this, a couple sponsors came up there and hung out. And it was like, I'm like, I can't believe you guys came. Like, this one guy's pretty sweet. He's like, Dan, a chance to hang out with you in Alaska. I'm like, Flatty will get you everywhere with me. So I very appreciate that. So it only serves a certain kind of people to go in that kind of coldness, but it's going to be super fun. August 24th through 28th, Satch Oliver has come all the way from Arkansas to right here to Hermosa Beach to TLU Beach House. And we're going to be teaching a 5-day Depositions Are Trial boot camp. You're going to be working on your cases. Satch is going to be working with you on your cases. So not only are you going to transform your case, but at the end of the day, it becomes a case expense because your case is going to get that much better. This program is limited to 10 participants. So if you want to come, get registered today. We'll see you right here. Trial lawyering, though. So you get out of law school when you're, how old when you get out of law school?
29.
About 29. Tell us about your career from there.
I started as a defense lawyer. And
what a surprise.
What a surprise. Everyone starts as a defense
So many people
lawyer.
do.
I was an environmental law lawyer, defense.
Defending corporations that pollute the environment.
Absolutely. Petro-Canada.
Petro-Canada.
Imagine that.
And what was your favorite part? Because everybody tells me the shitty parts of being a defense lawyer, the billable hours, not having a real client, maybe not being appreciated. But what were the great parts about? Because you spent, how many, 7 years being a defense lawyer?
7 years. Actually, opportunity to see cases you wouldn't normally see. I mean, I worked on acetylene torch cases where someone left the acetylene torch on the roof and burned the whole place down. I've worked on cases where people left paint cans inside of a locker where there were sails for a boat that burned the house down. From, people polluting water, gas and oil release. And so you see more than just a personal injury case. You see all the things you could have insurance for. And in that, you have all of the diversity of a different way of thinking. And you get to see from the defense's side how they think about a case. And when you know how they think about a case, you can really change the way that you approach what you do as a lawyer. But eventually you decided to tell the defense, take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more. What was the straw that broke your camel's back? I honestly, truly believed I would go to hell. And that may be a bold statement to say, but there was a single mother nurse who was walking through a pedestrian door that was attached to a garage door. And a person opened the garage door as she was stepping through the pedestrian door, and up she went. And it was a 2-minute cycle of her leg being crushed inside the pedestrian door as the garage door went up. And I settled it for so much less than what it was worth, so much less than what she deserved. And I realized that that isn't who I am. It didn't align with my moral values. Being good at a job as a defense lawyer meant that it was
You have no moral values.
Right?
You have no conscience. You have none of that stuff that could keep a person to do the right, decent thing.
Being good at that job means somebody gets less than what they deserve. Right? That's not the job I wanted.
So that was your moment that you had to...
I left the next day. I went and joined a law firm, a plaintiff's personal injury law firm. And in that, I learned the business of plaintiff's personal injury law. And from that, I went out on my own.
And what was the straw? And how many years you spend there?
It was 7 years there. So I've been practicing for 27 years. 777, I know.
You got like 7, you get like a 7-year itch. You're like, 7 years, I got to do something different.
I know.
And so what made you leave the practice, the firm you were with?
Really compensation.
Money.
Money.
That's the thing.
I mean, it's like, I'm going to work and I'm going to perform. And if I can work and perform and make money for them, can I make and work and perform enough to make money for myself? It's not a dirty word to want to support your family, to want to be able to help clients in the way that you want to help them. And for me, that's what I wanted to do.
And, honestly, to get rich. Who doesn't want to be rich?
I was driven by that work and driven by the fact that it would ultimately lead there if I was good at it.
Oh, yeah.
Not the motivating factor, but the end result of hard work.
Yeah,
really,
but it's kind of a measurement. It's to make money. I mean, the measure of value is what we can create. Because, money isn't really something that, it's a dollar bill, but it's nothing until you spend it, right? And people don't give it to you just because I always tell people, like, when I do these conferences, I got to perform. I got to perform for my speakers. I got to make sure that there's a lot of people there. I got to perform for the people that are there. Make sure they have great content. I got to perform for the exhibitors to make sure they got lots of relationships to build. Because as I always say, it's like people just don't come and spend money there and give me money because I'm handsome and have great dimples and a great smile. Makes people laugh. It's true though. It's like, it's like you have to perform. You have to create value. You have to constantly be focused on the value that you're delivering. no matter what you're doing. Because if you stop thinking about that, you're not going to deliver much value or nearly as much as you can. And, you know, you don't deserve the money. You only deserve the money if you create the value.
The measurement of the success of your work is going to be in no other way other than the verdict.
Right.
And that verdict is coming in the form of money.
Right.
So that's the goal.
That's the goal.
It has to be the goal.
It has to be part of the focus, because the focus, I just want to help people. My ass, you can just help people till the cows come home. But if you have no money to pay your bills, you can be a little distracted and a little stressed, and maybe not having as enjoyable a life or be able to do things for the people that you care about, or do things for others that just from a volunteer standpoint, there's no time to volunteer when you can't barely pay your bills, right?
Yeah. Our success is measured in verdicts, and verdicts is measured in money. And
settlements.
And settlements.
And settlements are good too. Got to pay the bills. Keep them rolling in.
I think if you prepare everything for trial, though, you get there less.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in my mindset, when I have a case, I'm not thinking about whether I settle it. I'm thinking about when I try it.
Right.
And when people see you're on that train, they react to what you do differently. They take you differently as a lawyer. Like being a female trial lawyer, I hear sometimes people feel that there's the boys and the girls. There isn't. It's a competition. This isn't about gender. It isn't about, me going up against this male lawyer and me being a female lawyer. That's not what competition is about. Competition is about me finding a way to make my argument better than your argument and finding success in that. And I can bring anyone into that matrix. And I can be the person that stands up and delivers the point. I can have anything or anyone behind me driving my confidence forward. And that's the difference. It's like I don't think about when I'm in a courtroom if there are men on the other side or me on the other side. I mean, I took on the Canadian Football League. Nobody else wanted that case. Nobody else wanted to fight CTE for American athletes in Canada in a league that isn't National Football League. But it was the right thing to do, and it's turned out to be the profitable thing to do. And it was me against every male top-end lawyer. What defense lawyer doesn't want to be counsel for the Canadian Football League? What kind of lawyers do you think I'm up against when I bring on a case like that?
Ones that wear bow ties and think very highly of themselves, I bet.
There was a lot of paper, there was a lot of tabs, and there was a lot of argument, right? And so I'm not thinking about it from the perspective of that's some big national law firm in Toronto. I'm thinking about it is I know what's right, I know how to tell a trial story, and I know how to deliver a trial story. And I block everything else out. And that's what you need to be doing as a trial lawyer, whether you're a man or whether you're a woman. You need to have control over blocking out all the external noise and focusing on the end goal. And that end goal is telling a concise story that shows people why you should win and how much they should be compensating your client for that win. And it's that simple. And if anything you're saying or anything you're arguing doesn't fit that mold, you need to go back and rejig the wheel. And so there are little tools and little tricks that everyone teaches for you to achieve that ultimate goal. And not all tools and tricks will work for everyone. For me, I use different tricks than what other trial lawyers teach, and I've had great success with it. And the reason why I teach is because I want to share. I want other people to be successful. I want other people to be confident, to stand up and say, I have something to bring to the table. And that's what success is. Success can be money, it can be confidence, can be purpose. And at the end of it all, we only have so much time in our life to live. And if you're not doing what you want to do, and you're not doing what you want to do well, what are you doing?
Making yourself miserable.
Exactly. But you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to sit in your office and think about all the extraneous things, bills, college, paying tuition, paying for weddings. You don't have to think about all of that. You need to be thinking about, how do I win this case? What's the fun in that? And if you don't know how to do that, pick up the phone and call someone who has done it and let them teach you. And then you pay it forward and you pay it forward. I mean, you were telling me that you're giving scholarships to law students to build their confidence, to build their exposure, to be around people who are thinking about the law in new and challenging ways. And that's what it's all about. And then those people grow and grow and grow, like the PERT commercial, and so on and so on and so on. That's what it's all about.
It is, and I'm very excited about our Law Student Scholarship Program. We have about 25 law students coming right now, so hopefully we'll get up to, my goal is 100, but that might be a little ambitious, but hopefully we get to 50, because if anybody's listening to this, if they know a law student who wants to be a plaintiff's lawyer, all they got to do is go to our website and apply, and unless they have AI write their application, then they're most likely, only when something looks like AI, then they get dinged. It's like, okay, if you don't want to take 20 minutes to write why you want to be a plaintiff's lawyer and why you want to come to this conference, and you'd rather just take a shortcut, you're probably not the right kind of person to come here, because this is a lot of work. And people that want to take shortcuts, they don't want to do the work. Or people are like, some of these students are like, oh, does airfare in a hotel come with it? I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? I'm like, what do you think? How about like a little nurse? How about a little nurse to put a pacifier in your mouth and rock you to bed tonight too? Would you like that too, buddy?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes, I would.
Yeah, good luck. You should go work at a defense firm and get your billable hours done and punch your clock in and punch your clock out and grind your life away, because that's going to place that you're going to be a little more comfortable than having to learn how to hustle in the plaintiff's world. So
absolutely,
yeah, it's a little filter mechanism when people ask questions like that. I'm like, no. Now, plus, the people that do show up, especially people from out of state, that had to take an airplane and find a place to stay and hustle and scrape and get together with their friends and share a space to find a place to stay. Like, those people show grit and hustle. And the people that come to the conference, they're looking for their future interns or associates. That's what we're all looking for. People with a little hustle, not people that are entitled, like so many kids these days, or so many law school graduates are so impressed with themselves that they went to law school and passed the bar. I'm like, whoop-de-doo. The only person that gives a shit about that is your mom and dad. Because the rest of the world, you're just like a little baby bird with your mouth open, looking to get fed.
Welcome to TLU Beach. I hope you're fired up to have the greatest time and the greatest event and the most learning you've ever had in a 4 to 5 day period. Because you are going to make more new friends, you're going to learn more, and have more fun. Because the great learning starts with the 8 workshop tracks. And so you want to take a look at those and register for the ones that you think you're going to get the most out of, because you're going to get so much out of the workshops, because every instructor is required to have 2 Zoom meetups with their participants ahead of time, so they can go over what they're going to be teaching. But also you can all get to meet each other, because the conference is a lot more fun when you have a lot of friends. And then on top of that, there's 5 lecture tracks with some of the top trial lawyers in the country, teaching their greatest strategy and philosophy and how they get the big verdicts. So that's what it's about. And don't forget to get your personal bio in that's written in the first person, a story of who you are in addition to being a trial lawyer. And get that into REMA, and we'll see you on June 2nd or June 3rd at the latest in Huntington Beach.
You mentioned the Canadian football and CTE. So tell us more about this, because this was part of the impetus too of leaving.
Absolutely,
wasn't it? Because they didn't believe in your case, and you were like,
this.
unfucking believable. I got the case of a lifetime, and you ding dongs aren't interested. I got this one handled. So tell us about
as an athlete and working with athletes and knowing Olympic athletes and being in that world, to see this was like the whole reason. If you're Wishart brain and spine law and you don't want the CFL CTE case, then take the brain part off of your Wishart brain and spine law. The opportunities that it gave me to learn about brain and brain function. I mean, we were working with Boston University, the brain bank, the CTE brain bank, Danny Dineshvar from BU, who's responsible for the CTE brain bank. Even just getting,
what's the brain bank?
The brain bank is a donation of the brains of professional athletes. So even still to this day, to determine whether or not someone has CTE, it's a postmortem analysis where they take the brain, the eyes, and the spinal fluid and part of the spinal cord in order to assess the degree of the tau inside of the brain. And to be able to work with these folks, we had a player pass away in Canada, and we really wanted that brain in the brain bank. And what that meant was getting that gentleman, after he passed, to Vancouver General Hospital, where a neuropathologist would be able to work with Boston University to remove the brain, the eyes, the spinal cord, and the cerebral fluid. We had 72 hours to get that surgery done and get that brain to BU, and I was able to do that. Connections with the coroner, working with Chris Nowinski, who's the head of the Concussion Legacy Foundation, him being able to connect me to the neuropathologist that would teach the Vancouver neuropathologist how to extract the brain and the eyes and the spinal cord in a way that we could get that brain to BU. And then finally getting that brain to BU within hours and learning three months later that he had stage 3 CTE was a huge victory for the family. Because people with CTE are not easy to love. They gamble, they drink, they're aggressive. You live around someone with CTE, you don't live with them. And to be able to give this family, which we otherwise would not be able to do, to give this family closure that, yeah, he wasn't a bad person, he had CTE. I mean, right there is some of the powerful experiences of being a trial lawyer. They don't teach you this in law school. Hey, one day you're going to be in Huntington Beach, at a track suit party, looking like Ted Lasso, the female version.
That's right.
Or you're going to be
branded for you.
That's
then you're
right.
Gonna be a little more excited about it.
That's not where you think your law school training is going to take you, but it can take you anywhere if you let it, if you show up. So you just have to show up to have a new experience. You have a new experience, and then you grow.
That's right. So the new experience. This litigation. Kind of give us the scope of the litigation and what's going on with it. 'Cause it's still going, right?
Still ongoing. We're in the remedy phase. So we fought it brought it in the Supreme Court. I brought it in the Supreme Court fighting arbitration, keeping it out of arbitration, and went up to the Supreme Court of Canada, and we lost. And we had to try this case in arbitration. And why that is so significant is we had no discovery. We couldn't do a deposition. There was no requirement for them to disclose documentation. And it went through an arbitrator that worked with the CFL and the Players Association. This is the only collective bargaining agreement in the world where a professional athlete can hire outside counsel. So he does not have to be represented by the union. And I was chosen by 250 professional athletes to be their voice and be their educator. And we tried Arlen Bruce III's first case as the test case. And on our feet, through the trial skills that I learned from Philip Miller and Paul Scopter in going to Advanced Depositions College, I got on my feet admissions I would never have gotten had I not put the work in, had I not put the time in. Show up to the workshops and be brutal at the skill, but be able to go home and know how to practice it properly. That's the difference when you get the case of a lifetime. You don't want to be trying to figure out how to do those skills. That's not the time to learn. Now's the time to learn, right? No. And if you find yourself already with the case of a lifetime, knowing who to reach out, who's already got those skills in their back pocket, that's the difference. That's how you get success, right? You get success from working and building your skills in what you want to do and recognizing when you need help to get to where you need to go. And that's not going to mean you're a bad trial lawyer or a weaker trial lawyer. It means you're open to becoming great. When I played indoor sixes for the University of British Columbia, I played for a coach named Doug Reimer, and we were all excellent volleyball players, and he was an excellent coach. But we played Japan, we played Russia, we flew to the United States and played as many colleges as we could. Because if we played someone better, we became better. When you're around greatness, you get great. And that's what you have to be always open to. I might be the only Canadian here, but that's because I'm brave enough to come to America. And sometimes when I get into a courtroom, the judge will say, "Miss Wishart, are you American?" And it's not a compliment. Because they're not used to seeing somebody who doesn't need to read off of a piece of paper. They're not seeing somebody who's willing to be vulnerable and look someone in the eye and ask them the hard question. That's not my culture. But I think there's a place for that in Canada. And I think, I hope
TLU Canada.
I hope Canadians are watching, and I hope that they understand that a courtroom can be a really fun place to be when you are there with skills.
Yeah, like when you
don't want to learn those skills while you're standing there in front of a judge.
You can't. No, it's like so often people hit me up or like want to connect with me like a month before trial, or sometimes even a week before trial. They're like, "Oh, and help me with my voir dire." I'm like, "It's way too late to help you with your voir dire because you have to practice. You have to know you have to have scripts. You have to understand rhetoric. You have to understand breathing and eye contact and hand movement and emotional state control. And now you need to understand that you need to be able to do it, and you be able to do it under pressure and remember everything you want to say and look like you're not trying to do it at all." And there you can't do that and get ready for a case simultaneously, because every bit of practice that I do with you, your mind's always going to be over on your case and not focused on what we're doing here, because we all have a limited bandwidth. And when somebody's got, set for trial, their bandwidth is taken up by every aspect of that case. So
Absolutely.
It's not hard. It's impossible to train.
And the thing is, if you're working on your case and you're thinking about your case from the very moment you sign it up that it will go to trial, then when you get to trial, like I'm 3 weeks away from trial, and where am I? I'm here. Why am I here? Because when I'm about to get to trial, that's my least chaotic time, not my most chaotic time. My most chaotic time is not 3 weeks before I'm about to go into a courtroom. I have been working on knowing exactly what I'm going to say from the day I took Philip Miller's deposition plan, put it in a black binder, and created the trial story and built the trial story from the very first day I start. Satch Oliver, depositions are a trial. He's right, because if you don't lock it down in the deposition and you have to get it on your feet in a courtroom, it's up to chance. You can't spend this much time and money on a case and leave it to chance.
Not if you want to stay in business.
No.
I mean, you can if you're good with losing and losing a lot of money and letting people down, and keep at it. You're on the right track then.
Big verdicts are great. They're exciting because of what we said before. It's a measure of what your skills have done. But taking a case and getting maximum value out of it. You have 30 cases, 50 cases. I have 195 cases right now, and I'm working my way out of cases. Most of my career, I've carried 500 cases at one time. And that was through a series of working with not a lot of lawyers in Canada, not a lot of law schools. And so not the same amount of competition in Canada and the United States historically for legal work. But if you have 30 cases, you have 30 cases and you're running those 30 cases, how do you get the maximum value out of those cases? And then you have the nice big ones, but your nut gets covered by the work you're doing on the cases that you keep on your file list. So it's always about thinking about, how do I move files? How do I bring value to a file? And then how do I get a client successfully onto their life out of the litigation process?
Get them out of the process.
Get them out of the...
You like that process?
I don't hear it.
Oh, you don't?
I don't
Apparently
hear
you
it.
do.
People
I
say
didn't
that
say
to me
process, and you just
it's
said
process, not P-R-A-W.
I'm not disagreeing.
I speak the Queen's English.
And I am trying to speak the Queen's English too. And as soon as I
Yes,
do,
it's king now, right?
As soon as I do, you look at me like, process? Are you making fun of me with process? No, I'm just trying to learn.
Have I given you an authentic Canadian A yet?
No, but
Not
I'm
yet?
learning to speak English well. But I still am not quite sure of the scope of this litigation. So there's 250 cases. You tried the first one at arbitration, on your feet, no discovery, no deposition. But what happened?
What happened was we had to call all of the CFL employees in our direct. And what that meant was not cross-examining, but leading questions. Not leading questions, but open-ended questions. So everything that we had to do to get those employees to give us what we needed had to come through an open-ended question.
Even adverse witnesses you don't get to cross?
There was an adverse witness. First, you have to show to the arbitrator that they aren't there to answer your questions honestly before you can move for an adverse inference.
Oh.
So, of course, they're going to be very nice and very kind, but they're not going to share everything they know. So the move on the chessboard for us was we knew that no one had returned Arlen Bruce to play without medical clearance. There was no record of his medical clearance. And we knew that if we didn't alert the College of Physicians and Surgeons to the fact that there wasn't a clinical entry, which they're required to do by the College of Physicians and Surgeons, that if they had seen him and failed to take a note, then they had violated the College of Physicians and Surgeons obligations. So we put the College of Physicians and Surgeons on notice that we had not a single medical record for Arlen Bruce's concussion. And in that, when we called the doctors to testify, their evidence was what? We never saw him. So a man who was knocked unconscious with a fencing response, who missed 40 practices, 40 days, and was in the Western Conference final, never saw a team physician before he was returned to play. That was what came out on the stand, which we would never have got had we not alerted the college to the fact there was no note, because all they would have said was, I don't know where the notes are. But because we had alerted the college to the fact that there was no clinical records for Arlen's concussion, not a one, that they would have had the opportunity to take a different position. Now, maybe they didn't see him. I don't know if they did or they didn't. But in the absence of that move on the chessboard, long before we had to have them come and give evidence for Arlen, we would have lost the case. So winning the case sometimes is about anticipating the moves that the defense are going to make long before you even show up into the courtroom. And that's something that you learn with experience, but it's also something that you learn with reaching out to others and asking others for help about strategy and figuring out the best way to win. So the minute those doctors say, well, we never returned him to play, they violated the concussion protocol, and that's a violation of the collective bargaining agreement. And what does that translate into? A verdict and monetary damages. So that's what doing the work gets you. Knowing how to do an open-ended cross-examination of a hostile witness, knowing you're never going to get an adverse inference, that this guy is going to be, this guy's going to be argumentative with you, and they're going to declare him to be adverse in interest, and I'm going to get the opportunity to cross-examine. If that's your game plan, you're going to lose, because the defense are going to make sure he's nice as pie, right? Nice as pie.
As pie.
As pie.
Pie is nice, too.
Pie is so nice. Little ice cream a la mode.
Yeah, you definitely have to have a la mode. All right, nice as pie.
Yeah.
TLU On Demand is the library for trial. You catch everything you missed over the last 6 years, and we've collected all the pleadings, transcripts, and PowerPoints for all these cases and presentations from Las Vegas, New York, and from right here at the Paseo. And it's an app for your phone, and there's a Dan GPT feature on the desktop, so you can search the entire database for exactly what you're looking for when you need it. If you're not a subscriber, you can call me on my cell phone or text me, 248-808-3130, and I will send you a 30-day comp code so you can try it at no risk. And then finally, you will see what you've been missing out on for all these years.
This first case, you've got liability, and now we're in a damages phase.
Remedy phase.
Remedy
yeah.
phase. And does that liability ruling affect the other 250? So
Well, it
you
will.
have to do them one at a time.
It will. They're going to have to go one at a time, or maybe they'll decide they don't want to go down that road.
And then they'll have a settlement, a collective settlement.
That's what we hope for.
All right. And you have been trying cases for how many years?
27 years.
27 years. But if I'm not mistaken, you're getting ready for a new phase in your life. Is that right?
That's right. I had the CFL for 14 years.
14 years
it's taken us to get to this.
Wow. That's amazing endurance on some of these cases that I hear about and interview people about. The level of focus and endurance to pursue a cause and put your time and capital
That's right.
and resources into such a long cause and have to maintain all these other cases and all the other things that are covering the overhead and putting food on your table simultaneously. It just takes such a tremendous amount of focus.
It really does. And using your time wisely.
Yes, but still it probably gets a little tired. It
does.
Gets a little exhausting at times.
Yeah, I've come to the point now where I want to move on. I understand the value of sharing these experiences with others. I understand the value from working with Philip and Paul, how
And soon you're going to say, and Dan.
And me. And Dan.
And then soon you're going to say, and Dan.
That's it,
Not
right?
yet, but soon. We'll see. Come June, you'll be like, and Dan. All right.
Yeah, I understand the value of that, and I want to give that value. And I think I can do more now in showing others how to be successful in a courtroom and be happier doing that.
Right, because like that's the great thing about being a teacher. If you're a really effective teacher, every single person you help, you've been giving them the not just the empowerment, but also the skills and help them refine their abilities so they can go out and help so many more people. Yeah. Like some of my greatest joys in this lifetime have been when people call me and have done something so extraordinary, so far outside the bounds, like this younger lawyer, he's about 40, his name's Michael Stevenson. He came to my boot camp and he came in again and sat in on it, and he was having this big brain injury case. I was like, you know, when he's telling me about his case, I'm thinking, you're way over your head. Like, because, you know, that's just what I'm thinking. I'm thinking you should have a really experienced lawyer help you. And then I get a call 2 weeks later. I said, he's like, I've tried to talk to people to see if anybody's interested in helping, but nobody's interested in helping me, which is often the case, you know, because nobody sees it except that lawyer.
They don't know him, they're not sure.
No, because it was a brain injury case for a bicyclist, because he specializes in bicycle law and brain injuries. And his client hit a car that turned in front of him, but his client didn't fall off her bike. And even told the police and the paramedic, it didn't even go to the hospital, it just got back on her bike and went to work or wherever she was going. It was just that later that day, but told the doctors that she never actually hit her head.
Yeah.
And this guy goes to trial on that case and turns down like a, $750,000 offer, which shows what good workup he did on that case to get to that. But he ended up getting like a $12 million verdict. He got like $1 million policy, and he got paid. I mean, and I know all this because I did a case analysis with them. So I spent 3 hours going over his case with him quite in depth, because I was just like, if you got that verdict, if Brian Panish got that verdict, I would be impressed. But for somebody who's never gotten a verdict of any, anything in that realm, to do that, and he did it with his, his partner / girlfriend, Lucy, which is even more inspiring. You know what I mean? And she was in the background doing all the briefing and all that stuff and getting him ready, and he's in there. And I mean, it's extraordinary when people do extraordinary things, and it's so great to be able to, honestly, brings me so much like richness and happiness to be part of his journey and so many people's journeys, because this is a tough business. It's hard to figure out. It's so hard to figure out on your own, but now is the greatest time ever if people want to become trial lawyers, because there's the resources, it's like the number, of course, obviously I'm biased, but if I'm not biased in favor of Trial Lawyers University, then, it's like, what am I thinking? You know what I mean? But it's like, we have the best trial lawyers in the country. And now I can say internationally, thank you, Philip, the best trial lawyers from around the world coming to teach.
There you go.
And, and really share. And there's every day there's 5 lecture tracks and 8 workshop tracks. So it's so great, because it's like a la carte learning, because everybody knows what their shortcomings are. As most people, at least maybe they don't, but those people never show up for anything, right? But the people that show up for a conference, they know that they got to get better. Yeah. They need to get better. And so what they need to get better at, I'm not quite sure. But I know if I give them 13 choices every day, they're going to figure out what they need to get better at. Yeah. Especially with the small group training, the workshop stuff, the stuff that's on your feet, practicing the skills of being a trial lawyer, or if it's Joey C. and Joe Fried are doing a 1-day masterclass on trucking, specifically Amazon and FedEx and those types of carriers. Well, if you're in that class and there's only 20 people in that class, you're going to know Joe Fried and Joe Camerlango and those other 20 lawyers pretty well. And then at the end of it, I'm going to make a little listserv for that group, so that group can stay connected and continue to share ideas and keep the momentum of learning, of highly specialized learning, because that's kind of like my ideas with these workshops too, is to create little mastermind groups of people to self-select, to be in these little groups, so that way, if everybody's aligned in the same group, where you're going to do so much higher learning. Yeah. And then especially because they do some Zoom meetups ahead of time where they kind of meet each other, get to know the instructors a little bit, and the instructors get to share, okay, this is how we're going to be teaching this class. This is the materials we'll be covering. Here's some maybe reading to do ahead of time or stuff to watch ahead of time, so that when you show up, you're most prepared to get the most out of this day we spend together. We're not like, hey, what's your name? What do you want to learn? Because that's just wasting time, And the more we can prep to get ahead of time, I mean, just the better. And all the people that are willing to help these days is more so than ever. Because before the pandemic, I think it was a lot harder to get people to really share that much. And, but now's the time, Robyn.
Now's the time.
Now's the time.
Now's the time.
Now, and look at you. You're going to transition out from being a trial lawyer to
Jury consultant.
jury consultant, trial consultant, really.
Trial
It's not just jury, it's the whole
not
trial
just jury.
that needs
You're
help, right? Like jury consultants mostly talk about psychology and what kind of jurors you want. What are your voir dire questions? Trial consultants like, okay, let's take a look at this whole
From
thing.
beginning to end.
Let's look at this witness order. Let's look at your structure, how how you setting up your depositions. What clips you're going to play to opening. That's a trial consultant. The whole story of the trial, not just the jury. So, but it's kind of hard for these people that aren't trial lawyers, that are jury consultants, to really consult on a trial because they've never litigated a case. They haven't. How many cases have they been through from beginning to end? How many clients have they actually sat through? They've gone to their houses and seen their suffering and seen their pain. Probably not too many.
Yeah, it's tough to get into court in the United States.
Well, that's true too, but
But you got to be ready when you're there.
Yeah.
And you got to know where to spend your time. Where are you spending your time when you're working on a trial?
Yeah, but if you really want to go to trial, you'll get to trial. It's the people that, no, but people just make every
True.
excuse in the world not to go to trial and blame it on their client. Well, you tell your client, oh, we got this offer and I can't tell you if we're going to do any better, then I think it's kind of not enough.
Not really giving them a choice.
But, if you lose, you'll have to pay all this money too, by the way, and I can't promise anything. The person's like scared shitless and, looking for that lawyer to give them some confidence. And, oh, by the way, the lawyer did do that very good job preparing them for their deposition. So they got bitch slapped around that deposition by the defense lawyer. So they're already feeling insecure about themselves as it is. And so just a little more insecurity top on pot than the lawyer. Yeah, I'll take whatever they're offering.
Doesn't sound like a recipe for success.
No, it's a recipe for settlement.
Yeah,
and that's
right.
what happens. And that's what happens. So this is going to be your first Trial Lawyers University. Thank
That's
God.
right.
Philip finally invited you. I told him, Philip, can we get Robyn Wishart here? For 4 years, I've been saying this to him. And Philip's like, no.
Rolling his eyes, shaking his head.
I think he's like,
Poor Philip.
he's like,
No good deed, Philip, no good deed.
poor Philip. But so just to let you know, since you've never been there before, I'm just going to give you a little quick rundown.
Awesome.
Tuesday, June 2nd, we got surf camp with your boy, Eddie C.
Awesome.
And also pickleball, if you're a pickleball player. That night, we have a Buying Out the Restaurant with my friends from, if you can all see it right there, Finch. That's right.
Finch.
Got my Finch tracksuit on. No, because it's very kind of them to host a little dinner party for everybody so I'll get to know each other before we get started. Because, you do better when you know more people, right? And you have more friends.
Feel more comfortable.
Who doesn't feel more comfortable having friends? TLU, besides being a great educational platform, is AKA the friend machine for trial lawyers.
awesome.
So I'm looking forward to that. Then the next morning, Wednesday, we have breakfast, of course, hosted. And then we have 8 different workshop tracks. So you can do some small group training like Ben Rabinowitz and Mike Kelly at Expert
Amazing.
Cross. He's the man. And
I'm
then
gonna pop into
Philip and
that.
Philip and Eddie C are teaching a little one-day deposition class. And, we got voir dire. My buddy Giorgio teaches with me. He's teaching witness prep and direct. We'll tell you a little bit about that. But that afternoon, we got a golf tournament. We got go-kart racing with Kurt Zahner. Ted Wacker's hosting the golf tournament. Then we got pickleball with Supio that night, opening party. Then after the opening party, it's 5:30 to 8:30. We have a poker tournament in the presidential suite. And the lobby of the hotel turns into a gaming lounge with a couple ping pong tables,
So
foosball.
fun.
Because we have the whole
so
hotel.
much ping pong in California.
Well,
I've never seen so much ping pong in my life. It's a racket sport, I guess. I don't
And it's
know.
easy to play and it's fun and
Sure.
it's semi-social.
Love it.
And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we got, every morning, 6:30 to 7:30. Again, working out with Eddie C. He's Mr. Fitness, that little Eddie guy. He's a fit guy.
Let's go.
And, or you
Eddie.
could do a little yoga, with my buddy Nick Woodridge. Just get a little downward dog,
Every
little
option
airplane.
there. Is there the looking and studying the eyelids option?
Yes, you can sleep too
All
if
right.
you choose to.
No, I'm going out. I'll go out. And
Go out, get a
I think
little
I'm gonna do a
activity.
little
Why
yoga.
not? Then we got a full breakfast for everybody, 7:30 to 9. Then we got choice of 8 workshops, 5 lectures every day. Then we got a full breakfast after that. Then that night we have the very first Supio tracksuit dinner party.
That's right. All the cool kids.
Look at
wearing
that.
it. Look.
How about, hold on.
wait, this.
Look at this. How about that? We're twinning. That's when I'm like, you got to be all in on this TLU thing.
like-
Don't be, Don't be some half-ass and not be wearing your
Right?
your
You got to wear your tracksuit.
we got to get hers branded though, because
yeah.
you got to have. Don't worry, it'll be branded by the time we get there. It'll be
Loving it.
It's gonna be great. I'm really
I
stoked
can't
about
remember
that.
the last time I put on a tracksuit. It might never come off now. I don't even
Well, then after
wearing
the
a tracksuit everywhere I go.
I do. I wear them to every
I love
conference.
it.
It's,
Why
it's
not?
fun. And then after the tracksuit dinner party is the. Think about this: the tracksuit pool party. I know
go.
not everybody's ever been to a tracksuit pool party, but if you always wanted to come to a tracksuit pool party, TLU Beach is the place to be. Then the next night after Friday and Saturday, the same, except Friday night, we got the Satch Oliver, your boy Satch from Arkansas, is bringing up 500 pounds of that Oliver Angus beef, very high quality grass-fed beef. We're gonna have charcoal, so only keep it cooked on fire, on real charcoal on fire.
Yeah,
No gas. So I was like,
do.
and then we're gonna have a mechanical bull, a little giddy up.
What could go wrong there?
Nothing with a bunch of lawyers.
Nothing could go wrong
Yeah,
there.
that's why you have insurance. Then Saturday night is
I'll be handing out my cards at the side of the
spine injury
mechanical bill for the brain injury.
Hey,
Here
you
you go.
You got to stir up a little business out there.
Coup,
It's
count
just
your coup.
there you go.
So much fun. That's the best.
There you go. Saturday night though, it's going to be a rooftop après ski.
Yeah.
I think I might change it to après ski disco party. Just you got to really
Absolutely.
add a little
Next
disco because then we can play ABBA. We can play a little bit of Saturday Night Fever, at the place. So, and then Sunday brunch before we go home. So we got a whole big activity list of fun, dressing up, hanging out, making friends. Oh, it's gonna be great.
If you're not having fun, you're the problem, right?
That's right. This one person said to me, I told him about all the fun. He goes, honestly, I'm not a very fun person. I said, strike that. I said, never let those words come out of your mouth. I said, you leave that person at home, you bring the fun you to
Bring
this
the fun
conference.
you. Find the fun you.
He's like, man, you're inspiring me to try to have some fun. I'm like, fuck, what good is life if you don't have some fun?
Right?
What good's life if you don't have some fun?
If you're nervous about having fun, you can find me working through having fun. So
That's right. Because Robyn's like, you're a bit of an
introverts of the world will be collecting there and having fun for the first time in our lives.
We're
growth. It's about growth.
Transitioning. You're
Transitioning.
transitioning from trial lawyer to trial consultant, from boring introvert to more outgoing,
girl?
fun, party girl, extrovert.
I don't think anyone wants to see that.
I don't know. It could happen.
Could happen.
But let's talk about what you're teaching at TLU Beach.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're very excited about this thing we call clean language.
Not dirty language.
So you're not going to say shit, fuck, G. I'm not going to use the Lord's name in vain, but G damn it.
Right?
None of that stuff. None of that's clean language.
None.
That's potty mouth.
That's potty mouth,
No
not
potty mouth.
clean language.
Now, what is clean language?
Clean language it's revolutionary, honestly. I can't tell you how much it's changed my life personally, never mind professionally. And why is because everybody wants to say something, but nobody really knows what they want to say. It's deep, deep down inside of us. What we see is what we say, and what we say just scratches the surface of what we really mean. And when have you ever had the opportunity to really tell someone what you really and truly think and have them guide you in a way where you get the opportunity to take the time to really think about what you want to say and what you mean? It's like, I went to Italy this summer. Oh, I love Italy. Me too. Isn't it great? It sure is. Your experience of Italy is nowhere near my experience of Italy. But here we are going back and forth about how great Italy is, thinking that we've made a connection over Italy. But the two things are totally different. And we are happy with that. And when we're happy with that as trial lawyers, we leave so much information on the table. So much of the information the jury needs to know to be able to understand the loss, to understand the negligence. And when you give someone a guided opportunity to tell you what they really mean in a way where you're not trying to connect with them by relating, but connecting with them by giving them space to tell you more, wow. So if you use the advanced deposition skills about summarizing, exhausting, and boxing in, you can transfer those into clean language, which is why clean language fits so well with the Depos College, because what it is about recognizing a meaningful metaphor. Something that you say that I, as a trained facilitator of clean, will be able to go, that's something that has something more that will help me with this case. Knowing what that metaphor is and then being able to hear it and then be able to give it back to, that exact same word back to the person who chose the metaphor and give them then a way to build the attributes of that metaphor to what they mean. Then after I've built the attributes to that metaphor of what they mean, I can lock it into, and what kind of chaos is that chaos? And chaos is like what? These two types of questions. If I gave you, there's more than 3 questions, I'll teach you 3. If you use the 3 questions, I guarantee you will get a result and you have no risk of screwing it up. And when does a lawyer ever tell you they will guarantee a result by using a skill? Okay? So if I'm listening to you talk and you say the accident was chaotic, that's a metaphor. It's an embedded metaphor. You think you know what chaotic means. I think I know what chaotic means. But it doesn't give the jury any sense of getting there, of being in the moment of chaos. And so if I say to the person who chose the metaphor chaos, is there anything else about chaos? Or and chaos? Tell me more about chaos. And I'm using and I'm repeating chaos. And the reason I'm repeating chaos and using and is because I'm bringing you there. That's a lot of what you do in your witness prep that you were sharing with me about bringing people into where they were in that moment. I can do that with words. I can bring them back to that moment. And then when I'm there, and then when they're building the attribute, they might tell me 10 or 15 or 20 things about what was chaotic. And in my brain, I'm listening for the next metaphor that I think is going to build the story. And then I might try 2 or 3 more of the metaphors they gave me. So, and chaos, and loud, and screaming, and fire. And tell me more about chaos, and loud, and screaming, and fire. And as I'm repeating their metaphors and as I'm repeating their words, I'm bringing them back. I'm bringing them back to where they were. And then I ask them for more. And when I see in their mind's face, in their mind's eye, that they're there, then I can ask them for the next. I can ask them for the next movement forward, which is in chaos and screaming and fire and burning and fear. And what kind of chaos is that chaos? They will give me more. They will go deeper into the metaphor of chaos. And then I can go, and chaos is like what? And I'm controlling them with my voice and my sound and my eyes and head, right?
Yes.
And I'm bringing them forward. And they're then in that moment. And the reason why it's so powerful is you cannot, as a defense lawyer, say, don't fall for Robyn's questions. Because I'm not asking any questions. I'm taking what you say, the metaphor you choose, and all I'm doing is directing you and giving you time and space to make it bigger. It's the most empowering thing to do as a lawyer, because you're always told you don't have the credibility, get out of the way of the witness, but how? I hate it when people say that, but then don't tell me how to do it. This is how to do it. And when you just take chaos as the metaphor and move on, right?
Yes.
When you do that, you've lost an opportunity to bring the jury to where they were that day and to understand why it was a problem, why it was traumatic, why it changed their life. So it's nothing to be afraid of, because if you choose the wrong metaphor, right? If I pick something that really doesn't mean that much to you, I don't understand your question. Move on to the next one. There's no risk in you tipping your hat about the theory of what you're doing. You're just, get this, genuinely interested in understanding what that person has to say. And all clean language is a questioning technique that removes your assumptions, removes your interest, and flips it around to the focus of what they really want to tell you. And in that, you create credibility, because you create authenticity, because you know that this is the first time they've ever truly explained what chaos meant. And that's the power of clean. And clean works everywhere. You could practice it on your loved one. You can practice it on your child. Why do you people collect unicorns? Kids collect things. Have you really ever asked your kid why they like a unicorn? And do you know how? Right? And unicorns. Tell me more about unicorns.
Who doesn't like unicorns?
Everyone loves a unicorn.
Absolutely. They're magical. They're magical.
They're magically
They're magical.
delicious. Is that wrong?
That's nothing
Very
wrong.
wrong.
So, Robyn, we talked about this transition from trial lawyer to trial consultant. So what's your vision of your time frame on this? Because people set these time frames and they tend to get extended and extended. This case comes along. I just can't help it. I got to have this case.
No, I got a hard stop. I'm 18 months away. I'm 18 months away from making that transition. I don't think you can do both. I don't think you can be a good trial lawyer and dedicate the time and energy and the resources to helping somebody else with their case. No hokey pokey. So I'm going to make that transition in 18 months, finish helping the people that I've been working with on some cases, and then cut the cord and really become excited and motivated to help other people get the type of results I've been able to get for my clients. And that's the gift of it all, right? What we're doing this for is eventually to pass it on.
Pay it forward.
Finally
That's what the
there.
great ones do. You finally got
there.
that level. So people who are looking to connect with you, obviously the best way to do that is show up to Huntington Beach,
Come
June
to Huntington
2nd
Beach.
through 7th.
I will be here.
That's right. But if there are some of those people who maybe just aren't good planners, have a lot of excuses to why they can't be there. Or,
There is no excuse.
Oh, there is no excuse. So
There's
by the
no
way,
excuse.
if money is not an excuse,
No
because if
excuse.
you don't have the money, you call me,
Yeah.
you tell
You
me
can
the
call me if
situation,
you-
and we will make sure that you
get a
know
scholarship or
Yeah,
something.
we got to do something to
Yeah.
get you there because you got to get the skills. Sometimes you got the skills before you can make the money, and then you just have the obligation to pay it forward.
Absolutely.
Not just take the gifts and stick them in
That's
your pocket
right.
and be like, oh, just keep giving me stuff. I'd like to pay it forward. No, that's not our kind of people here. But so other than coming to TLU, how can people get a hold of you?
Best way to get a hold of me is through my website, which is Wish Law in Canada, rlw@wishlaw.ca. Easiest way to get a hold of me personally directly. I have a website, and you can also call me on my cell,
Well, what's that number?
778-628-2010.
All right.
Or you can call 1-855-WISH-ART.
All right.
Wish Art.
Wish Art, two words.
go.
And then if you need to get a hold of me or you don't happen to come to TLU and like to try out TLU On Demand, or if you do come to TLU, you want to try out TLU On Demand, my cell phone's 248-808-3130 or dan@trialuniversity.com. Hit me up or
Flash
text
it up
me.
at the bottom here. There you go.
trialuniversity.com and I will help you out. And what else is there? And if you know any law students that want to be trial lawyers, have them get a hold of us so we can get them that scholarship, because it's very important to keep paying things forward.
Absolutely.
Building that next generations of warriors to be bulwarks against injustice, especially these days today. Because we got some master classes too, especially like on civil rights with Doug Leepo. That's really
Wow.
important these days, because those cops these days, that Gestapo force they call ICE is pretty scary. So hopefully,
Let's go.
survive.
Let's go get the Canadians coming too. Let's go Canada.
Let's go Canada. I didn't know I didn't know they had trials in Canada. I just learned this. Before we
Shocking, I know.
No, before we finish up, tell us about how the
A whole bunch of nice people saying sorry.
I know. It's like
But we
Minnesota
do.
nice over an entire country.
Absolutely right.
So tell us about just how's the justice system? What's it like in Canada?
It's the same here in America as it is in Canada. We have exactly the same laws. We worry about exactly the same things. I think the difference
But you don't have voir dire.
You guys we have no voir dire. It's like the ultimate stereotyping. She looks nice, he doesn't. Looks poor, looks rich. It's brutal voir dire. But that's why you have to do your focus grouping. If you're not doing your focus grouping, you're not doing your job because you don't know what jurors think. So I think, honestly, Canadians can learn so much from coming to work with you, because we just don't have the advocacy colleges that you offer. There are no civil workshops in Canada that are offered. There are none. And that's why I came to America to learn, and that's why you need to come to TLU to learn.
Or I got to come to Canada. I mean,
Or
I
come
didn't
to
know it's a
Canada.
big country up there
There
for
you go.
exploration. It's like the
Bring
great.
a
It's like
parka.
Doug and
Got a toque?
Doug and Bob McKenzie come to the Great Northwest.
No,
Yeah,
you need a toque.
right.
You need a toque if you're coming to Canada, and some mittens.
And some mittens for the
Some
hands.
mittens.
Yes.
You won't want to always be able to count to 10. Most of my friends in Winnipeg are like 9 3/4. So
See, they got a little frostbite.
it's a real struggle.
But also, you have a lot of caps that you have to deal with, don't you?
We do have caps, absolutely.
Absolutely, cap.
Absolutely.
California might have a lot of caps. We got a lot bigger verdicts down here.
Where you get your economic damages in your cost of future care. And that's where the money's at. And so if you know how to build a cost of future care for someone with tetraplegia, quadriplegia, or paraplegia, what you're doing is building them a life expectancy. So you might not get the punitive money that you get in the United States, but there's other ways to build that.
And you know those ways.
I know those
How
ways.
to maximize those. That's why I'm going to be a
Maximizing
trial
your damages.
consultant. I'm going to share that with the people in
Absolutely.
my classes
That's it.
and going forward. And
Yeah.
on top of all this, last but not least, February 18th through 20th, 2027, you are getting the first notice, if you're listening to this, of the Philip Miller Deposition Trial College.
Come along. You'll
It's going to
learn.
be at the Paseo in Huntington Beach. It's going to be small groups, interactive training with the best lineup of instructors like Robyn, Joe Freed, Satch Oliver, Ed Sarambulli, Joey Camerlingo, Maxie Shear, Carl Salt. It's going to be so
Carl.
great. And more, because as it grows and we can develop it, that's why we were here this weekend with Philip, putting this together, because we're going to build something that's already great, but it has to be greater. So we're looking forward to this.
Appreciate the opportunity, and I'm really excited to share.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Share
Be awesome.
and
And party.
and make lots of new friends.
Anyone who knows me just saw me go like this, party. Yeah, I know. I'm going to work on my party skills just for you, Dan. I'm going to work on those party skills.
Well, look, you're already
I'm
getting
in a
started by having the proper
The Ted Lasso.
attire. The proper attire.
I love it. I love it.
Just to give you in a cowboyed up,
All
got
about
your
it.
gun and your hat.
Yep.
And then you're all set with après ski. That you got covered.
that's
an
Canadian,
easy
yeah.
one. All right. Well, thanks for joining us,
appreciate
Robyn.
you.
Safe travels back
Thanks.
to British Columbia.
British Columbia.
All right. And we'll see you in about 1 month
See you in a month.
at the beach. And maybe here at the dojo if you get that
Right.
case resolved. Then you're in for some.
Then I'm in for
Then you're for the super
party.
transition.
I got to practice my party skills. So that's what I'm all about right
Oh,
now.
you're gonna make so many friends. You're gonna
Okay,
be like,
can't wait.
You're gonna be, I gotta become antisocial. I got no time for my work.
I
I got
got-
so many friends that just want to talk to me and call me and
What
see
do
how
all
I'm
these
doing.
friends?
I don't know.
all
All
good.
right. Well, thanks
Thank
for
you,
joining
Dan.
us. Take care.
You too.